and welcome to Beacon Hills, a Southgate Media Group podcast dedicated to all things Teen Wolf related. I am one of your co-captains, Lilith, and joining me, as always, is your other co-captain.
Hey, I'm Dawn. Glad to be back with you guys. We did experience some technical difficulties, so we apologize for not having Season 5 up earlier. We are now redoing it, but we will try not to spoil it for those of you who are doing the podcast as you're watching the episodes.
Actually, it's funny that you mentioned that. I saw a lot of people waiting so that they could binge watch it. You can get this done in under half a day, so I totally understand why.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? In many ways, Teen Wolf is a great show to binge watch. I mean, then you can kind of gloss over the parts that might have been a little bit slower and still have all that fantastic action to keep you going throughout. You know, those times when your body says sleep, but your marathon says keep watching?
We've all been there. I totally agree. And I think this is especially the case for this season where it's kind of like this a lot of mysteries that are going on, and it really killed me on a week-to-week basis, and I can just imagine it going a lot smoother and people having a better reaction when they can get the answer instantly.
Oh, yeah. And to be totally honest, there are many things that we still don't have the answers to, so we'll be watching for those in 5B.
Coming in January!
So glad we're not waiting until the summer.
Up for discussion today is the Season 5 premiere, 501 Creatures of the Night. The Season 5 premiere opens on the eve of senior year. Scott and his pack deal with the arrival of a new enemy and a return of an old friend. I just want to say the previously were like, what? It was like one from every single season, and I liked it, but it was just like, dude, really? A minute 44 for the previously? Is that like a record for Teen Wolf? So this episode, we open at Aiken House.
Very interesting.
Now, this came from the 5-minute sneak peek of the premiere, so a lot of people had seen it. They're like, the first 5 minutes, it's Lydia, she's kicking butt. It was so much hype for this scene, and it totally lived up to the hype for me for this particular instance. I was like,
oh, yeah.
Helen got to meet the stage fight coordinator. Yay! Turns out she's good at it, and they want to do more. Yay!
Turns out that she actually can kind of, sort of, maybe control her powers. Yay!
That is yet to be determined at this point now, but at this particular time, yeah, all things were coming up Lydia in this episode, I'm just going to say.
And it was awesome because, you know, if you've been following us for a while now, you know that one of the things that we've been looking at and talking about for our wish list was that Lydia would have, first off, a key component to the story with the pack, instead of always having a story off on her own. And that she would finally be able to defend herself, because seriously, you know, the very first thing you should do when moving to Beacon Hills or when realizing that Beacon Hills is a little bit off is to enroll in the nearest self-defense class.
I concur.
It's nice to see that Lydia is finally realizing. I mean, she's smart. She should have figured, self-defense, that would be good a long time ago.
But at the same time, she found out that she was a banshee, and I think she was hoping that her supernatural gift was more than just screaming. She was hoping to get fangs and some claws.
At least some kind of protection. And in this episode, she does. If it's not all a hallucination, by the way.
Which we still don't know.
Very true. I do love how she, you know, is using her super banshee power to blow people out of the way, especially since those people are the 6 billion creepy douches that they hire at Aiken House.
See, this is why nobody's working at the hospital. It's too much accountability there. There's no accountability at Aiken House.
None. I mean, you can lose a patient for half a season. They'll be like, oh, I guess they're gone. Okay. Although they do seem to have tightened their security since Meredith just strolled right on out and into the Beacon Hills High School.
And let's not forget Malia did the same.
Front door, bright sunshine, leaving. Okay.
So yeah, I love the way this episode opened. Let's just get into some of the things that we liked. We can start with scenes, lines, moments, whatever you want.
Favorite thing was the cold open. By far. Lydia kicking butt. That is just my favorite thing ever. So that one's definitely the highlight of my life.
Teen Wolf life at any rate.
Teen Wolf life, of course, yes. The kids are probably higher up than Lydia kicking butt. I love when things on my Teen Wolf wish list can be checked off, and that was a huge one for me. So
I totally agree. But I think the second favorite thing for me has to be the start of senior year anticipation. They captured it so well. And it's like the first time I actually remembered that they're actually teenagers.
I think they did all things teen well in this one.
Definitely.
And that's different. Usually I spend my whole time going, education consultant right here. But this, I thought they really did well. They made sure that it felt like they were teens, like you said. And I thought that and this goes into one of my other things that I loved about it, I thought that their tradition of senior scribe was very smart. It was very teen, it made sense, and it made for a great way to end this episode.
That leads me into my next point, actually. The, not sappy, but very subtle tribute to Allison that they did in that senior scribe moment.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's just, and before that, they also make that distinction with Derek. Now, Derek's initials would not be there unless for some reason they skip whole chunks every year. But it was nice that they recognized that two main characters are missing from this season. Allison from last season as well. And I love how they just absolutely, they don't forget about the people who were there. Unless they're Danny.
Or Erica, or Boyd, or Isaac.
I'm good with that. You can keep Isaac. I don't even mention him anymore. But yeah, I think that they do a good job of, referring to Jackson, to referring to Allison and Derek. And, in this case, later on in the episode, sometimes they refer to Peter pretty well, too. I like that. I like when they don't forget because the fans haven't forgotten.
Teen Wolf fans never forget. Just check Tumblr and they'll let you know. Allison Argentine is actually still very, very active, and I find that really great that an actress and a character can touch a person, especially because, a lot has happened since she's died.
An entire season of Black in a good season.
Basically. Oh, something that caught me off guard, but in a good way, is that this had my mind rolling for a second, is when Aiden shows up in the beginning of the opening. He's like, sorry, treatment's not done. It was so funny but dark.
I have to admit I was disappointed when I saw Aiden because then I knew it was a hallucination. But I was like, oh, she's not really kicking butt.
Well, I think that part might have been real, but that Aiden was a distraction for them to use those military stun guns on her. Somebody sent that vision to her to distract her. That's the way that I took it.
Which works for me if that's the case, because I really do like the whole Lydia kicking butt thing. I did think it was interesting that they used Aiden as the choice. I realize that's because they couldn't get Colton, but...
Which is weird because they should have been able to, all things considered.
Right, since he's not on Arrow anymore. Would have been nice to have seen him again, but, I understand that. And I do like that they picked someone from her past to... for me, one of the things that surprised me the most was the 6-month time gap. That's the longest we've ever gapped anything in Teen Wolf. Didn't the first 3 seasons take place in 1 year?
I'm pretty sure they did, actually. And technically, this is they're like a year and a half into Teen Wolf time since the story has started at this point. Actually, I found out a really interesting kind of thing, and I think this might be why it was a 6-month time jump, is that season 5 was actually supposed to be the last season when they started writing it.
And you know what? That makes a whole lot of sense. They're going to have to back the train up now that they've got season 6. But, it's not unusual for us to have multiple seasons in 1 year. So, 1 Teen Wolf year. So that doesn't bother me so much. But it was huge. It was a very subtle thing that they said. And I was like, wait a minute. Senior year? Shouldn't we be doing the last half of junior year at this point?
And Jeff also says that he's not interested in doing any more corny teenage stuff. He realized why we had such a drastic shift between tones of season 1 and season 2 is that he realized he wasn't into writing the teen tropes of dances and proms. We might see a graduation if we're lucky. He might come around and actually give us that, but we're not going to see prom or anything like that as far as he's concerned, unless the networks absolutely make him.
I wouldn't count that out yet, but if that is the case, I don't know what season 4 was. And season 4 was season 1 redone. but less
I think he
fabulous.
tried. I think he tried to see if that's what people wanted, and people have responded better to season 5A than they did for 4. So now he has the definitive answer, I think.
Yeah, I think that it's very interesting that he decided to make that jump. I think it was a smart move because, Teen Wolf is going to come to an end at some point. And you can't have 30-year-olds playing teenagers unless you're, Beverly Hills 90210. So, so either he would have to do a Buffy and flip them all out of high school and yet still have a reason for them to be where they're at, or move them to a college location like it seems like they're doing in the opening here. I do like the idea that they are all, Styles is pushing them all to stick together as they go into their, post-high school years. So if they wanted to shift to somewhere else,
San Francisco specifically,
where you can't get housing for anything, so money will be a ton.
No, Derek will come back and give them the Derek Hale Scholarship.
But I do think that was a smart idea.
I like how they're not all trying to go to the same college, too. But it's like, because San Francisco's so big and has so many colleges, it's literally one for everybody's interest. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it's smart. And it gives them an out if they need an out. Unlike Buffy, where suddenly, guess what? There's a university in Sunnydale.
Well, if a little sister can pop up out of nowhere, surely a university could pop up out of nowhere.
With an entire military structure that didn't know she was the Slayer, as unlike everybody in the school did. Okay. But anyway, one of my favorite things in rewatching this episode, by far, though, is the Scott Styles bromance scenes. Mm-hmm. We get several of them. We have more time with these two together in this episode than we do the rest of the season. And I just really love that we started with them after Lydia kicked butt. We started with them. We end with the whole pack together. And it's just a relief to see this and how they get each other. I love it.
Another thing that was really is that they dedicated this episode to Tyler Posey's mother, who passed away in between seasons.
Yeah, that's my favorite moment of the whole thing. It was just sweet, and it was necessary, and I think it shows great support of Tyler Posey.
Yeah. While people who don't know about Teen Wolf and they show up as a guest actor might not know who the actual Teen Wolf is, Tyler Posey is definitely the face of Teen Wolf on MTV specifically. He's always hosting something. He's always doing something for MTV. So, and he's also a producer on the show, a co-producer. I expect, if it goes into season 7, he'll be an executive producer probably at that point.
If it goes into season 7, I certainly hope that he has branched out. We got a movie, stuff like that. So I do. I hope they all have a great future, and that's the reason why if it ends after 6, that's okay by me, because they all deserve to be able to go off and do bigger and better things on a bigger and better network, or in the movies, or wherever they choose to go. I kind of hope that they go out on a high note. That's really all I'm looking for.
Yeah. I think that they are. I think that Jeff has regrouped, reorganized, and he knows now he's got an end game. Do you know what I mean? I don't think before he had that. I think he wanted to go for as long as he wanted to, and then he got burnt out when he had to write season 3A, B, and 4 basically all in the same span without a break. And that kind of really messes with a writer's head specifically. So I think now he has an end game, and it kind of shows. And he's trying to tie everything back together as well, something that I kind of liked about this season overall.
Yeah, I agree.
You want to get into lines or moments?
My favorite line of the night as Senior Scribe, and it's right after Scott writes AA and Styles says, "She would have been with us, Scott." Yeah, Lydia, she still is. I just love that line. I love how it includes the past and present of Teen Wolf. Mostly I love how it shows that they are a family.
So my favorite moments are Sheriff having Parrish on desk duty because he's suspicious of him. And we find out later that, he's also a little bit incompetent because he can't even answer a dang noise complaint.
Do you not have any other lines?
Lines. I like when Styles is talking about what college they want to get into, and then he gets to Malia. Well, she'll figure something out. Community college or something. Because it's realistic. I'm glad he's not expecting her to be going to a good college because she barely passed into senior year.
Right, which was not where they were going at the end of season 4, but that works for me too. My second favorite line is Kira when she says, "Dad, please don't turn a 3-hour traffic jam into an educational experience." Gotta tell you, that is just the bane of being the son or daughter of a teacher, because everything's a teachable moment in your life. I just love how good she was.
I like how Liam keeps asking them what they're gonna do, what they're doing, and Styles won't tell him. He's like, "It's a senior thing. Get away, you old smelly sophomore. It's a senior thing."
And to go on that, Liam's like, "What's at midnight, Styles? Your bedtime." I adored that line. I was laughing the whole way. It's one of my favorite interactions between Liam and Styles this season. That was funny. Number 3 for me in best quotes would be Scott. "Things have been good, right? But not amazing." Styles. "Yeah, but no one's tried to kill us in 6 months either." Gotta realize, I mean, that is a Beacon Hills record.
It really is.
I mean, for them not to have anything major in 6 months, I don't know. I think they had Peter and the Canema and the Alpha Pack all in 1 year, so this is craziness.
It's just nonstop shenanigans in Beacon Hill.
Yes. And then I also really loved the interaction between Styles and Malia when Styles is explaining his fears about them breaking away and no longer being best friends. And I think, first off, that was really realistic. I mean, you go into senior year and you're excited because it's your last year and everybody's together and you're going to do all these cool things that you couldn't do beforehand. But then you've also got all that unknown. You know, what happens if we don't keep in touch with each other? What happens when we go off to different colleges? And I think that Styles' fears were really well done here. But I love, love, love how Malia is right there supporting him. And he says, "Don't mock the vision." Malia, "I like the vision, especially if I'm part of it. So that's why you wanted everyone here tonight? Because you don't want to lose all your friends after senior year?" Styles, "And I hope they don't want to lose me either." I think that line was very telling as to where his mental state is. And it had me...
It was also so meta.
Yes. Very much. And I just, if you think about where the cast is right now and where the show is right now, they're both on a precipice. I mean, the cast is getting more well-known, especially Dylan. They're getting ready to move off into their own directions, and things are not going to be the same. And so I really like that they recognize that and that they are doing a great job of incorporating that into the show.
Yep, I agree. I think my favorite quote, I don't have it right now, but it's basically when Nishiko, Kira's mom, is talking about the wild fruit.
Mm-hmm. Because they might as well have just put a big neon sign above her saying, "Foreshadowing, foreshadowing."
They literally did. The lightning cracked over her head. They literally did that. She was so into it. She was very animated with the story, and I loved it.
Mm-hmm. And then, Kira, of course, gets distracted by her boyfriend and doesn't stick around for the ending, which is really important.
She'll Wikipedia it later. Like everybody in the fandom did as soon as the show went off.
Very true. Or, she could actually talk to her mom. That might be a good plan.
A teen talk to their parents and it's not Scott and Melissa. Are you crazy?
I know. It's a sad but true fact that sometimes parents have the answers that you need. You should go for that. I think my last favorite quote on there, though, is when Scott says, "You're bringing the Jeep?" And Styles goes, "You know the plan." Okay, no one gets left behind. That's the plan. I really, really, really hope that continues to be the plan.
Well, he better get a job at the veterinary clinic, too, to get rid of all that damn duct tape.
Yeah, because Deaton pays you whether you show up for work or not. And he gives you raises whenever you ask questions he doesn't want to answer.
And Styles would have plenty of them.
Oh, yeah. Man, he could be making more than Deaton by the time this is done.
Oh, yeah. Any other favorites you want to talk about?
Yeah, no more favorite lines. Although I think that there were a lot of really good speeches and scenes and stuff in this one.
Oh, I agree. I love the cinematography. I love their take on horror. Although I did feel like when you do an homage, you steal from the best, but you still have to make it your own. And I felt like in some instances of the horror styles that they took, they didn't make them their own. Only as a true horror fan, though, is all that I would say about that.
Yeah, I'm less into the horror genre now than I used to be, so the steampunk scientists are fine by me. I was like, okay, yeah, these are kind of cool for the first scene, for the first show, episode. my enthusiasm for them cools as we get farther along, but I did think that they have a good look. I think that they're different than anything else we've done, so I like that too. And I just pretty much like that they're playing around with different things.
Yeah.
Seriously, this show could have stuck with just being about vampires, but they have pulled from so many different things. And I think that freshens it up and gives each season a little more of a twist. And, I kind of like that I can separate the seasons by which of the big bads are here.
Yep, I like that too. And just one of my last favorites is just a scene, or really kind of a moment, but it's in a scene that I like too. It's where Sheriff and Melissa are like in the morgue or whatever, and Parrish's wounds are like smoking, and she's like, "Is that normal? Oh, what's going on?" And she's like, "Is this part of the healing process?" And I'm like, "You guys are so over your pay grade at this point. It's not even funny."
I'm going to go out on a limb and say smoking skin is never a good plan. I like them together, period. I thought that they did a great job in it. I love the chemistry they have. Not some shipping sexual chemistry kind of thing.
But like actor chemistry.
Yeah. They have good actor chemistry. And I think that they have good show chemistry because both of their children are involved in something that they really can't do a whole lot about. And so both of them are very protective, but they both realize that their kids are going to have to do things that normal kids wouldn't do. And I think that gives them a good bond, even though it feels like they had a good bond even before then, because they were best friends, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I like everything about those two. I always do.
Well, until a couple episodes later.
Oh, yeah, things are going to... Let's just say that this episode did a phenomenal job of ushering in season 5, taking care of my fears that season 4 was going to be the norm. I mean, obviously it's not. It's obviously its own little sucky planet on its Pluto. We're not going to acknowledge it anymore. So, sorry, you don't exist.
Pluto fandom, don't mind her. Pluto lives. Viva la Pluto.
Okay. So, but yeah, I just I think that it did what it needed to do. Jump started totally different theme, totally different tone also. So now we're not in the overly bright lacrosse green halo hair flipping Pantene commercial thing that we were in season 4. And now we've got something creepier. We've got our characters facing realistic problems. That's exactly what they did in season 4. Yeah, they were realistic problems, but these are problems that I want to say are more deep-seated and more mature. I mean, making the lacrosse team or not is a team problem, but it's not a teen wolf problem. Whereas being worried that your pack is going to fall apart because things are changing, that's a team problem that is also a teen wolf problem. If that makes sense.
And I just want to say the theme of Watch Your Pack this season was like the truest theme that they actually stuck to. I was shocked.
It was very foretelling. Can we just make next season's theme screw the new kids? And I don't mean that literally.
That might happen.
I don't mean that literally. Just get rid of them. Make them go bye-bye.
I think that's going to happen.
So, I think it's going to happen earlier than other people think it's going to happen.
It almost has to, honestly.
Yeah. I think that we're going to go in a totally different direction, and I will be shocked if we don't wrap up the cliffhanger in the first 2 episodes of 5B.
I'd say 3 or like 3.5, honestly. Just knowing Jeff probably likes to kind of dilly-dally every now and then. Slow motion.
Slow motion. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, any other good things you want to talk about before we get into the not so great stuff of this episode?
I do like the format of how we think that this is all happening, but at the end we find out that it's all a flashback. So I thought that was an intriguing way of doing things. They like to experiment with different storytelling techniques that don't always work well for them. And I thought that this was a great way to get us directly into the action, give us something to whet our appetite for, and something to make us come back for. And I thought that they did that very well.
I agree. I especially love like each little flashback scene that slowly, as the season progresses, comes true. You're thinking, no way, this is just a possible outcome, but no, they all come true.
As we see, and some of them are not the big deal that we think they are, and they freak us out, but some of them really are. So, yeah. I think another thing that I really liked about that is Mia's MIA dad came back.
MIA Tate is back in the house.
Yep.
And he becomes MIA Tate again.
I know, it's really sad. But I do, and that is his official name, by the way, at least for me, MIA Tate. So, but I do like that he was there and that they acknowledge that he exists. I would like him to exist more.
Hey, everybody had a moment with their parents, right? Like, yes. Well, except for Liam. Well, yeah, even Liam, because his stepdad, they went to the hospital to see him. Yeah.
Them.
That's something I just not thought about.
Yeah.
They tried it.
Yeah. I don't know if we saw Liam with his dad on screen, but I'm assuming that he was with his dad at some part.
Yeah, he didn't come on screen because I don't remember seeing Hot Doc at all.
Yeah, that would have been a major moment. Just saying. So I did like that. I thought that was really very cool.
Awesome. Okay, I just have to get this off my chest. The number one thing that really irked me for this episode was Kira's belt. And it's going to be a trending theme on the rest of these episodes. I'm just going to warn you guys.
It's number one on mine, too. The what the heck belt? I mean, it's like, seriously, did we suddenly go to, like, did she venture to Hogwarts? Is that where she went? Because, quite frankly, we don't have magic on this show. We have the supernatural, but we don't have magic.
We don't have Harry Potter magic.
Right, and that's what I mean. We have the supernatural, but with the exception of Jennifer Blake, we haven't really had people who can just create things out of thin air. And seriously, a belt that turns into a sword? I mean, even if it was a nifty chain link belt, like they try to make it seem, when the belt comes together, the chain link parts would still be there, and it would be ineffective as a weapon. So, the fact that it magically transforms into, like, Excalibur is just weird.
Yes.
Drives me nuts throughout the entire season. For me, probably the second thing that I dislike about this episode is we finally, after season 4 being a letdown, we finally get this fantastic Scott and Styles alone bromance, and then Liam interrupts with his freaking chain to the tree thing. Just leave him there. Come on, people. So I hate when I finally get something I want and it ends because somebody I don't care about breaks it up. So that's one that I don't like.
Yeah, I agree about Liam. He's a lost little puppy dog for like the first 3 or 4 episodes of the season, and then like other thing, he turns into Scott 2.0.
Yes.
So, literally. But it was just like, Liam, it's a senior thing. Can we just leave? I know it's a full moon, a big super. It looked like a super moon at that point to me.
It did.
I don't think you can have 2 super moons in 1 year, can you?
No, it's about 14 months apart.
That's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just like, oh, we could really. He's supposed to be like, his IED is under control, it seems like, but they're doing this just in case. And I'm just like, I don't care about Liam right now. Let it be a senior thing. That's the only thing that I said. We had plenty of time to explore Liam. We could have just left him out of this episode.
Yeah.
And it really wouldn't have made a difference.
Well, and we explored him so much in season 4 that it felt like we were finally getting back to the heart, the trio. We start with Lydia, then we have Scott and Stiles, and then Liam interrupts. Plus, I really, really, really hate that his character just suddenly changed all of a sudden to this new character. It was like, all right, I guess he doesn't have IED issues. I guess.
See, we had this conversation, and I said, I mean, if IED is a chemical imbalance and being a werewolf heals you, then maybe it does fix that chemical imbalance. But it's as we progress in the season, I begin to question myself.
Yeah, because he still has his anger issues. But he only has them. His anger issues are like werewolf power and mountain ash. They come and go whenever the plot deems it necessary. You know, and it
Mountain ash!
Is that not the classic thing everybody thinks of when they hear mountain ash? Come on. Oh, so score points for not having Gerard in here or Kate. But yeah, I think that, you know, it's like they wanted him to be super sympathetic in these first few episodes, and they wanted him to be Scott 2.0 in the middle episodes, just so they could build to the climax. But in all honesty, it makes zero sense, because this kid acts like a spoiled brat half the time, and the other half of the time he's giving those big little puppy eyes, which probably is the way he gets his way most of the time.
Sam Winchester does it better.
Yes, he does. And he does it without being annoying. So, usually. So, puppy dog eyes sometimes annoy me no matter who's doing it. But, yeah. I just think that, you know, it feels like Liam is not a character as much as a plot device at this point, too.
Well, that's what he's always been.
Yes. But it feels different right now, because before it was a plot device in case they needed to scratch the Scott and Stiles thing, which is still what he feels like. Him and Mason are the new Scott and Stiles in case Scott and Stiles don't come back. But I think that it feels like they were trying to, instead of pushing how super special he is like they did in season 4, they pushed how immature
every man he is.
Yeah, and how, you know, he's just they pushed the true alpha of him, in all honesty. They absolutely 100% pushed the true alpha of him, because suddenly he doesn't want to hurt anyone, and he's just all so cuddly, and he's just going to fall in love, and he's going to be the little son that Scott never needed. And, you know, it's annoying. Everything about Liam is annoying in this episode, except for when he comes back and Malia almost attacks him. That was kind of fun. But I don't know. It just feels like they did a complete character reversal, and the only thing that made him even the least bit interesting from before, they took away.
Yeah. I don't know. I will say that I did like some of his interactions later on with the older cast, though, in some of the later episodes. But not in this particular episode. They should have just let the seniors let it literally be a senior thing. That's all that I have to say about that. The next thing that annoyed me is, okay, so just when you think Jeff Davis might actually take away the true alpha power thing, he might be feeling a little bit of remorse about that. He has his chance, and he blows it.
Oh, but how else will Scott be able to give it to Liam later on?
I know we didn't know that at the time, like because I know a lot of people had complained about it, and he'd given some washy answers on both like Twitter and in interviews and on Tumblr. So I would like when I saw this, when the villain of the episode comes up, it's like, okay, this is it, this is your chance, and then nothing.
In all honesty,
want to fight.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. In all honesty, I like that because Scott won. Wild Werewolf is defeated. He runs off like the failure he is. And I like that they allowed Scott to get a win when it wasn't the finale. it was freaking sweet. It was amazing. It was like, I'm not sure this has ever happened before.
But this does bring up questions, though. It's like, okay, this dude knew everything Scott has done since the beginning of the series. It's like, is there a Scott McCall fan club magazine that I need a subscription to, or nah?
I'm calling it Werewolf Weekly because I'm telling you, and that's one of my awards. It bugs me that everybody knows everything about Scott. Seriously, did Decalion suddenly, start preaching on the street corner or going to vampire bars?
Of Scott.
Yes. I mean, is that what happened? Because everybody and their cousin knows that he's a true alpha. First off, true alphas are supposed to be incredibly rare. So if Scott's not talking about it, then they shouldn't just leap to the assumption that he is one. Then he knows all about, and Theo knows all about the twins, and it's like, really? What the heck? You people are annoying. So, yeah, I decided that there is a Werewolf Weekly, that the editor-in-chief is Scott's biggest fan, probably, has a notebook full of hearts with his name on it, and that Scott's pack is just simply too poor to be able to afford it.
No, I have it. It's like a super secret, like, supernatural creature cantina, and they're just not old enough to drink because the fake IDs you use at cinema in the old place are just crap. You actually need a real good one, a good fake one, and, well, money woes. They can't afford a good forgery.
Ah, okay. So we're going to get the Beacon Hills Cantina sometime, and it'll be better than cinema, period. Because I guarantee you. Yeah. I don't think you actually need a fake ID to be in cinema. You just have to be half naked.
And hot.
Yes. Oh, definitely. And annoying with bad music. But that's for a later episode.
Unfortunately.
Very much so. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I have that as mine also, that I don't like how suddenly everybody and their cousin knows the whole thing when very much people should not. Although I really did like Wild Werewolf. I love his, day-glow nail look. Yeah, perfect for the rave.
Yeah, the visuals were really great in this episode. And I will say that, we get these quote-unquote Frankenwolves is what I'm going to call them until they get their proper name. Mm-hmm. I like the design of all of them, and it feels very thought out about, what was going to be crossed with what for a good outcome. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, very interesting way to be able to play with a lot of different mythologies at the same time. One of the things that I really didn't like in this one is that the characters all went stupid. They really did. They were just dumb. Like, come on. Like, seriously, Parrish? You're in Beacon Hills. You hear a noise coming from the wall. So your first reaction is to pound into it. Have you lived here or not? Come on. So, yeah.
See, it's weird, though, because, and I never did double check on this, I feel like that's the house where Lydia was getting those creepy visions of young Peter when she was when she was in the process of bringing him back to life. And so that, in and of itself, might have, like a mystical property that we haven't explored yet.
Mm-hmm. And that works.
So, but Pierce is a dummy. Yeah. I'm not going to try to fan wink that one.
It just doesn't make any sense that he doesn't even call for backup. I mean, it takes you 2 seconds, and somebody who knows there's something could say, hey, this might not be a good idea. Maybe we should get someone else who could help. So that drove me nuts. Malia lifts the tree by herself, and everyone in Beacon Hills is just like, yeah, okay. Hello. Way to keep your secret identity, hun. Good job. Right, that was
It's Sunnydale, though. Everybody self-censors.
Oh, it drove me insane. Ugh. I don't like how. And then when Scott is being attacked by Wild Werewolf, the rest of his pack stands around and watches. What the heck? I mean, Liam and Styles are both like, oh, he's getting his butt kicked. Okay.
They secretly wanted Scott to die, so they wouldn't. I mean, that would just end all the drama in Beacon Hills, probably.
Oh, it was just so terrible. I'm like, first off, no way Styles isn't at least trying to come in and throw something at him. Yeah. Where's the bat?
A wrench, a bat.
Yeah, something. And Liam, really? Come on. Malia's standing there watching for a while, too. And it's like, this is not the way the pack does things. I know that they wanted to make their point where, he was draining Scott, and Scott has to find the power within his inner Buffy to stop the draining of his super special true alpha status and raise back up and fight. But, they could have easily done the same thing if the Wild Werewolf had thrown all the pack into the wall at the same time. And then it wouldn't bother me that they're all just sitting around watching it happen. Yeah. Throw some people into some walls, knock them out for a little bit, then let's
You're watching too much Supernatural, Dawn.
Well, actually, that's Buffy. That's Buffy becoming right there, where Angelus is saying that she had lost everything, and she stops the sword and says, I still have myself. That was Scott's Buffy moment. So, but the way that the way it was executed did not work for me because it made it feel like the rest of the pack were just sitting back and watching, and they would never do that.
Speaking of poor execution, the introduction of Theo, their 4th grade friend. Really?
Yeah, might as well have warning lights on the top, sirens going off. Yeah. Dude, you're no good should be the hashtag. I didn't even know him, and I didn't trust this guy. It wasn't just because Styles didn't trust him, because Styles is always right.
He's a new kid. You don't ever trust new kids.
Exactly. A new kid that comes out of the blue because he wants to be part of your pack. And he already knows all this information about you. That doesn't sound suspicious at all. Come on. But I will say that as time goes on, I find Theo to be more and more intriguing. So,
yes,
he sucked outright in this one, and he will continue to suck for a while. But he definitely becomes very interesting.
Almost formidable, I would say.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Which is a change of pace after last season's villains.
Although, I'm going to have a similar issue with this season.
Oh, yeah, I can totally see that. So, we also get our introduction to the Dread Doctors. Mm-hmm. But, can we get some captions? That was so annoying this whole season that I literally had to make sure when I downloaded an episode, it had a subtitle pack in it so that I could actually hear what they were saying. Because I can't find the closed caption on my TV. I'm just a dummy.
I just relied on the fandom to tell me what I missed. But yes, the scientist bug language is not the best way to develop your big bad villain.
I think he drew some inspiration for Batman's The Dark Knight Rises Bane, and that also drove me Bat Guano insane. So.
Yeah. It was definitely, for as cool as they look, and they do make for a great visual, they don't necessarily make for the best villains. Because when you can't understand the villain, and you don't get their motivation, and you have no idea why they're doing the things that they're doing, it makes it a little difficult to connect to their plan if they have one. So I'm going to just go ahead and consider Theo our big character, and the steampunk scientists can be those annoying people who speak gibberish. They can be the Charlie Brown teacher. Yeah.
They're minions.
Okay, they're minions. I can go with that. So, yeah, it's a little different. But I apologize because we did spoil the whole Theo thing for you, but if you've watched Teen Wolf at all, you probably already knew that that Theo is not the best guy.
Well, it's not even really giving it away, honestly, because it's kind of like when you find out, it's like, wait, that still doesn't make sense. There has to be more to it. So it's just a little tiny one, honestly. So also the fact that they kill this guy at the end, and I'm just like, okay, so that was okay. So that's when I realized we were going to have kind of more than one. I thought the creatures were going to be like, I thought the focus of the season was going to be like Eichenhaus, and there were going to be like all these creatures in the basement that like escaped or something. But no, it's the steampunk doctors making these little Frankenwolves.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, this kind of reeks of season 4 again. And I got really nervous.
Yeah. Yeah, I did not like that aspect of this season. And I think that while it is cool, they could have come up with a better way of doing it. I like the idea of them creating monsters, but I don't particularly think that it is executed well. So, and that's kind of it. But in all honesty, it was a good try. And they really, besides Dark Styles, the Kanima was probably the most intriguing big bad that we've had. And that was season 2. So...
I think it was the most intriguing because it was an all-original mythology specifically for the show.
Well, and it also had such a close personal connection to the pack. And I think that is really the strength of Dark Styles as well. That anytime it is a close connection to not just one person in the pack, but all the pack, that it makes it that much more interesting. And quite frankly... none of these people are chimeras, so it's like, okay.
Well, I think that's what they actually tried to do with Theo. Like, as the season goes on, he tries to get closer to everybody and kind of, you know what I mean? So I think they actually did recognize that it needs to be personal, so they try, and he's already childhood friends of Scott and Styles, so he weasels his way into everybody else to make it feel a little more personal, although it kind of failed on that for me.
Well, and I think that's why it got more interesting as we went along, because the focus became less about the steampunk scientists. The pack was focused on them, but the audience who knew the whole picture was more focused on Theo. And so I think that really, I think that's why it ended up working, because our attention was taken off the bug-speaking doctors and on to someone we could relate to. Well, maybe not relate to, but... We understood his motivations for the most part, and it was a human connection between all these other characters that, we could either be rooting for him to make these connections, or we could be rooting against him making these connections, and it made the whole thing feel more organic than anything that had to do with the steampunk scientists. So,
yeah. So, are there any other things that you would like to voice a concern about?
There were quite a few plot devices in this episode. What kid leaves a handwritten note for their parents about where they're going anymore? I mean, seriously?
In the age of cell phones? I know.
Texting, yeah. So that was like, okay. And it also made me question why they even needed to do that. It felt like a throwaway scene. And, you cannot have Mama McCall in throwaway scenes. She's just too much... She's too good for that. So having him at their house and then reading the note that Scott conveniently left, and then some freaky thing with the magnets, which I still don't get, by the way. All of it was like, okay, why did we do that? Because if he's a super wolf, shouldn't he just be able to track Scott's scent? I mean, come on.
But he was a failure, so maybe.
It was a failure.
He didn't get all the wolf senses.
That's okay, because the rest of them don't get all the wolf senses all the time either.
See, well, maybe he was a perfect success, and they just didn't realize that because of the Nematine. I'm telling you, it always all goes back to the Nematine. The Nematine is sucking the supernatural creature's powers. I'm telling you, that's going to be a plot in 5B. It has to be.
Something has to be, because somebody was screwing with all of their... and it wasn't just the supernatural. I swear somebody was messing with the electric balance in all of their brains because they all turn into different people than we're used to having. And it's like, my styles wouldn't act like that. My Malia would not do that. My Scott.
Everybody secretly has had trepanation sessions.
Yes. So either they all got whammied, and I'm good with that, or the steampunk scientist frequency is turning everybody slightly insane. And I'm actually giving that
might be onto something.
If that's what ends up happening, then I will be like, all kudos, that makes sense. But they have to explain it at some point. So I hope they have some kind of an explanation and not just be like, we just needed them to act this way so that the plot would work.
Because reasons is not valid for Dawn, ladies and gentlemen.
No, it is not. If you read my recap, you will see every time it's like, because, reasons. It's just, drives me nuts.
I want to shout out the music people because they didn't feel the need to put 21 songs in a premiere. It was only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Ooh. And
they were very subtle and kind of blended into the background as opposed to like being distracting.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And we didn't get a rave. No obnoxiously loud music for the point of selling obnoxiously loud music. So I did like that.
And that comes later.
Yes. But in this episode, I think that they did do a very nice job with that. I shout out the cinematographer who had some interesting camera shots in there, the director as well. I thought that they made it work pretty well. The lighting director, where even though it's raining, I could still see their faces. Thank you. It's always nice to be able to recognize which character's which.
Well, I think they've gotten a better budget, too, so it's not like, you know what I mean?
I hope so. With all that product placement they're doing, they should be able to do the show for free based on just that.
All right, let's get into the grade. I'm curious to see if your opinion has changed.
My opinion of this episode has only gotten better because of what's happened later on. So I really do like this episode. I gave it an A-. I think that it's a great way to start the season. It showed that Jeff Davis had learned from the mistakes of season 4 and the complaints that people had in season 4. The storytelling is tight in this one. Not that it necessarily continues to be tight as other things are revealed, but just by this episode alone, the storytelling is incredibly tight. The pacing is superb, and it feels like he fixed the biggest failures of last season, at least in this episode. Later on, he's going to add 642 billion new characters again, so obviously that was not a lesson learned. But I think that they did that there. I loved Lydia in here. I love the bromance between Scott and Stiles, and that is a high point in the rewatch of this episode. I like the twist of it being a flash forward in the cold open, and that the rest of it is a flashback. I didn't expect that, and I still think that is working really well, simply because, as you say, the stuff that we got at the end of those flashbacks are coming true as we go, so we can anticipate them, but we don't necessarily know the context of them, and that changes a lot for me. Some of the things that I originally thought was happening is not what ended up happening. So I still have that suspense. It's not like they ruined it for me, but I also have that anticipation that it's going to come through. So I thought that they did a fantastic job in this. Kudos all around to everyone, including Jeff Davis, of course. The only real problem I had is that they needed to fix Stiles' poor Jeep.
For me, it's a B+. There's a few things, and I think that actually came up. I think originally I gave it a B-. So there you go. But I think it's some plot points that aren't answered and probably won't ever be answered. It's like, what is going on with Stiles and his emotions in his Jeep? I still feel like that's a thing. And it's not really being explained, and it's really bugging me if it's just a plot device because he needs to be there.
I agree. And I think that if it ends up that the frequency is actually affecting electricity for more things than just, the lights going on and off, that could still very well be it, because the electrical impulses that are being driven in his brain based on the emotions that he's feeling could then very well affect the Jeep.
Yeah, because they give us hints, because they've been monitoring his chemotones. Like something's been off with him, and they, so it's just like instantly I want to go, oh, Nigasuni residual energy. But yeah,
maybe
Jeff Davis has said that they won't go there again. But again, Jeff Davis has lied, so all showrunners have to fib a little here and there. So I don't know.
And sometimes they generally don't know.
Yes,
they think also, one thing, and then it doesn't happen that way.
There was remember when the lightning exploded behind them and only Liam saw it? What is that? So you know what I mean? So there's these things that happen, and I'm just it just doesn't make sense. So it just bothers me, and then I'm spinning out and fan wanking all this stuff, and it's just not good. Let's get to episode awards. What do you have? Oh, best and stuff like that. MVP.
My MVP of this episode now, not what it was before, is... Geez, I don't even know. Let me see what I originally had. But I think that really for me, the MVP now is the bromance. Oh, my MVP before was nostalgia. So that kind of goes with it. Except I'm now even more nostalgic.
Funny how that works.
Yeah, I just really like the idea of the whole pack working together, having common goals, wanting to stay together forever. I mean, that's just so sweet. And I mean that in a non-sarcastic way, because usually when I say that, I'm being very sarcastic, but it's just sweet, and it's charming, and it's Teen Wolf, and it's aw, I love that.
For me, it has to be the cinematography. I love the look and the feel of this episode. Everything kind of worked in conjunction together on the technical side. And we didn't even get that much slow motion. So that's always a plus for me. And if we did, it was for the fight scenes. And usually the slow motion is used in the fight scenes to cover up bad fight choreography. But in this case, with Lydia, it was phenomenal. So I appreciated it. Best character interactions?
Styles and Malia, and Styles and Scott.
Agreed. Hands down.
Really, there is no other choice. Who else is it going to be?
Scott and Kira, if you're one of those people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that would work, I guess. Maybe. Not really. Sorry, no, not really. Later on, they can be awesome, usually apart. But, yeah, this time they were just, there.
Best scene?
Best scene is either the name signing at the end or Styles explaining his fears to Malia. They're kind of a toss-up for me because they both have the same gut reaction of aw. So
I definitely love the scene between Scott and Styles as Scott explains the plan to keep everybody together. But I also like all the little mini the foreshadowing section. Mm-hmm. It was just okay, Melissa slapping Sheriff. What? No. Scott and Liam fighting? No. This is what could happen. This will never happen.
Let's not just ignore the Jeep being on fire part either.
Well, when later on in the next episode, he says he has 17 speeding tickets, I started to see, I could see that now.
The Jeep being on fire was just bad for me. Because I'm a car person in TV, and I'm no, she's a character. Cannot mess with her. So, but yeah, I thought that was pretty good, too. I like both of those scenes. I also like when, what was it? I like how, obviously, the opening action. I thought the action period was pretty good. I was tempting to make that the MVP as well, because you've got the Lydia action to begin with. You've got the Wald Werewolf versus Scott action towards the end. It was pretty well paced as far as action goes.
Do you have any other miscellaneous awards you want to talk about?
Oh, of course. I have 3 pages. No, just kidding. I only have 2. But anyway... but I actually talked about most of them. So let's see. I already talked about the subscription to Werewolf Weekly and about how Parrish is brain dead. Biggest meteorological mystery. Forget the lightning and the magnetic shifts. I want to know why it is always raining in Beacon Hills in an outdoor fight scene. Did someone curse the town with terrible weather? Is this like some Once Upon a Time thing? Because I don't know what it was, but we started off this season and suddenly we got like the Beacon Hills deluge. I think they're in the wet season. and it always happens when somebody needs to have either an emotional scene outside or a fight scene outside. It's like the weather waits. Oh, wait a minute. I feel emo. Time to rain.
I think Jennifer did it.
Maybe. Because that was just crazy. I also have the I Don't Want to Lose You Either award. I am not sure who's more nervous about Teen Wolf's senior year, Styles or me. I don't want to lose them. I do not want to lose Styles and Scott. And I refuse to watch a Teen Wolf where Liam is the main character. So, can we please let senior year go on as long as sophomore year did? Because I do not need Teen Wolf to continue once those two are not here.
Agreed. Although, if they I'd miss Styles, but if they actually gave Scott, aka Tyler Posey, something to do and make him a better version of Derek, I might see myself sticking around. Not that I would want a podcast or write about it, but I would watch it.
I won't. For me, Teen Wolf is just like Supernatural. There is no Supernatural without Dean and Sam. There's no Teen Wolf without Scott and Styles. They both have to be there, or else I don't want to hear it. And then my other one, I'm just choosing because I talked about most of them, is Best Threat / PDA warning. Malia's dad after Malia probes Styles' throat with her tongue in front of him. Seriously, that is never a good plan. I don't care if you're a coyote or a human, you don't PDA in front of your dad. So the idea that he kindly reminds them that he has a gun collection, and I remind them that he has every animal trap in the entire state of California. So, back off.
That's funny. You know what? They need a parental consultant as well.
Yes, they do. Because then he winks and it just blows the whole thing. I'm thinking, nope, there's no winking here. There is you're grounded for the rest of your life. Get back home.
Okay, so I know, do you still have the fan out stuff? Your favorite tweets? All right, let's hear some of your favorite tweets.
All right. One of my favorite tweets actually has to do with the new sponsored by Don't Smoke campaign, more than it does the actual show. But I loved it. It's by Laurel. At LURREL. Definitely thought this anti-smoking commercial was just biology at Beacon Hills High. Seriously, every time it comes on, it's like, well, now obviously I'm used to it, but at first I was like, is this one of those weird things like when Sam started being in that herpes commercial? Or, what is this? Malia's climbing to the top to get a boutonniere thing? I don't know. So I like that part.
Wait, which one are you talking about? The one that gets me is the one that's in the cigarette pack and they're under the bleachers. Like the first time I saw it and I came back from the bathroom, I thought I was like watching a scene of Teen Wolf.
Yes, yeah. I think this one was the one where it's crawling off the biology table. That's what you're referring to. Yeah. But yeah, and so, and a random teacher will pop up now and then, so it could have very well have been Beacon Hills. Yeah, those commercials, I don't know. Yeah, I hope they are very effective.
I know the ones where they're pulling off skin and teeth are like, ooh, I don't even smoke and I don't even want to smoke. If I get the thought of smoking, I think of those commercials.
Oh, absolutely. My second favorite one was by Nika Panyat. That's at NICCAPANGGAT. And she said, me 2 days ago. I'm honestly over Teen Wolf. So, like, season 4, I was not feeling it. Then she wrote, me tonight. I'm the alpha now. It's like, yep. At Shakari, at SHAKARI. And I apologize, guys, for butchering your names. I know I am. Wrote, Why is Scott's mom yelling? She knows damn well he's not home. Girl, did you forget who your son is? Totally agree.
He's never home. He's out in the wild running somewhere.
He's out taking care of whatever the recent crisis is, because quite frankly, he just might as well have crisis manager as his title and be paid by the city, if they could manage to pay anyone, because they obviously can't even manage to pay insurance for cops that are, injured on duty. But that's season 4. Moving on. At Molly Harper Auth, at MOLLYHARPERAUTH, she said, belt sword? She trips going down the stairs and they give her a belt sword? Okay, the belt sword is cool, but honestly, that's exactly what I was thinking. Like, almost word for word. I'm like, what the heck is this? At Tony Interrupted, at TONIINTERRUPTED, she said, about Theo, if this kid got in Styles bromance, I'll lose my damn mind. Teen Wolf, I trust no one. Smart. And then the last one I have is at Merino Media. That's at MERINOMEDIA. And Mary wrote, stop adding new characters to the pack, you crazy writers. What is wrong with you?
Yep.
I 100% agree. We already have enough new people. We can't get rid of the new people that we got last year. So please, no more new people. And those were my favorites.
As for me, I am kind of on a Tumblr hiatus right now, but I will say that if you are on Tumblr and you're not following Neptune Pirate, either the tag or the actual user, they do all the really cool GIFs for Teen Wolf. They're hired by MTV and Teen Wolf to do the GIFs, and they do really great stuff. So, I want to encourage you guys to just kind of check around for it. It's amazing. They're super talented. But for Teen Wolf Season 5, I decided to do Reddit. Reddit has surprised me. From what I've heard of Reddit, I was like, I don't know. But the Teen Wolf sub is really good, and I like it. And it's a lot of smart, fun, intelligent conversation going on. So I will say, beware. Much like Tumblr, anything can happen at any time. So beware when you're strolling through the tags and the subs. But for the most part, I found people to be very warm and welcoming and great conversation.
Very awesome. So that's at Neptune Pirate for Tumblr and Reddit subdivision.
Yeah, just if you want to Google it, just usually Google Teen Wolf Reddit and the sub will pop up for you. So.
All right. I did actually have one more tweet that I forgot.
Oh, go ahead.
Can I add in one more?
Yeah.
Okay. And only because it's Melissa Ponzio who plays Mama McCall, obviously. And the hashtag that they threw up on the screen was, what is Parrish? And she wrote, I know what Parrish is. A receptionist. Answer the phone! I just thought that was a clever way of her, dealing with the hashtags that come up.
Oh, we'll get into the hashtags as the season goes on because they are a mess.
Need to hire someone for that too?
I'm saying, well, no, the funny thing is that the person that had been live tweeting Teen Wolf for at least 2 seasons, I guess was an intern or something, and they left at the beginning, at the end of last season, and so it's a new person who's obsessed with cupcakes, and I like that they're obsessed with cupcakes.
And dad-son weird relationships.
Yes.
Like, why are we suddenly calling Scott Liam's dad? What is up with all these dads?
And Styles is his mom.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, Styles can't be his mom because Styles doesn't like him very much either.
No, Scott is warm daddy and Styles is cold mommy.
Okay.
That is a Heroes fandom rehash, but anyway, that brings us to the end of this episode. We want to thank you for joining us as we discussed the season 5 premiere. We hope you enjoyed all that we had to say. We got to hit you with some shameless plugs before we get out of here, so I will let Dawn go first.
Well, first off, don't forget to check out southgatemediagroup.com for all your podcasting needs. We've got something for everyone. I'm very excited because Kristen and I have started a new podcast that should be coming up any moment now, and it's called Red Shirtin', and it is a podcast dedicated to the 100. So if you watch that show, please give us a listen. Let us know your feedback, and we'd love to hear your response. Also, I do Teen Wolf recaps on my blog, which is at dawn1.blogspot.com. That's that's DAHNE1.blogspot.com. And you can always catch me on Twitter, and that's at dawn1, at DAHNE1. Love to live tweet shows. We're getting ready to start our fall season, which means that it's time for my column to come back. I've been taking a much needed hiatus from it, but it's called Last Week in TV. As soon as the new season, the fall season starts, it'll pop up again, and that comes out every Monday on my blog and also at Spoiler TV, and you can find Spoiler TV at spoilertv.com. So check us out. We got a lot of great things, and if there's ever anything that you are interested in, just shout out, let me know.
Also, be sure to follow us on Twitter at Beacon Hills Pod, as well as Facebook. Welcome to Beacon Hills. You can also check out our Tumblr, although it's pretty slow right now. Welcome to Beacon Hills podcast.tumblr.com. And as for me, you can find me on Twitter at Lilith Hellfire. My personal Tumblr, that's just basically rantings, it's lilithhellfire.tumblr.com. And I also have a blog, littlepopculturevulture.blogspot.com, that if you're into comic books, you might want to check it out. Specifically DC comic books for the most part. So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for listening to Welcome to Beacon Hills. We're so excited to be getting our Season 5 up, especially since I personally like Season 5 a whole lot better. So, we will see you next time, and until then, remember, trust Styles, not the new kids, because, dude, it's Beacon Hills.